City Council Finance Committee. Please be advised that FATV will be conducting audio and video recording for public broadcast. I ask that anyone else in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing and stating your name and city of residence. Seeing none, members present this evening are Councillors Walsh, Boschman, and Cruz, and myself, President Zarella. I will be chairing in lieu of Councillor Gianatali. We have two items on the agenda this evening. We have no one signed up for public comment on Zoom. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak, please approach the center podium, identify yourself by name and city of residence and the agenda item on which you wish to speak, and you will be given not more than 2 minutes.
Jacqueline Wetchy, Fitchburg resident. On 173-24, has an audit been done of in-town's books to ensure that the city is not taking over an organization with problems? Why does Fitchburg State not want this anymore? It looks like their astute new president has found in the city a useful idiot to dump a problem on. This organization has a checkered past. A whistleblower told me that when they were Fitchburg Pride, that in-town didn't file quarterly nonprofit reports with the state on time, and $5,000 was unaccounted for. We should focus on basics like roads and schools and not spread ourselves too thin. Let the private sector run this. At a meeting earlier today, Community Planning and Development told business owners $18,963 is just the start. They want $50,000 to $100,000 more, but the owners won't pony up when their suggestions are ignored, and Mary Jo Bohart just wants to push her own agenda. She also hasn't tackled some of the root causes that keep people away from downtown, including unhoused individuals who aggressively panhandle, defecate in the parking garage, congregate around the stage.
Ms. Wetchy, public safety issues are not on the agenda this evening.
Instead of spending more money, we should enact an anti-camping ordinance. The council should also deal with parking, which both repels people from downtown and costs the city tens of thousands of dollars a year. You were supposed to do this before summer recess. Time to stop throwing good money after bad. More programs on Mill Street won't do anything. Focusing on the unhoused and parking just might.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, as I said, we have two items on the agenda. The first is 172-24, an order that there be and hereby is appropriated the sum of $37,800, same to be charged against the FY 2025 tax levy and credited to police maintenance of building, repair, and care.
Good evening, councils. Captain LeMay with the Police Department. I'm here on the item on the agenda. These funds will be used to service our HVA system. It is long overdue that we clean the HVA system, and these funds will be used to service the HVA system.
Questions or comments from councillors? Councillor Boschman.
Are you planning to get Stanley steamers to clean them?
No, we had to put this item out to the competitive bid process, and one of the companies came in at this amount through the competitive bid process.
Oh, you already sent it out for bids?
Yes.
It's a lot of money, isn't it? I thought
it is a lot of money. It's a large building. The work that's involved with cleaning the HVA system, that's all the duct work throughout the whole entire building, to include the coils for our system that generates heat and air conditioning for the building, as well as bringing fresh air and circulating fresh air throughout the building.
Is this going to be a yearly thing? Is it going to be done every year, or is it going to be done every 25 years?
So after talking to the vendors that bid on the project, they recommend that this be done every 3 to 5 years, depending on what it looks like inside the vents. And our building hadn't been done in quite some time. As long as I've been in this position, it's never been done. So that dates back to 8 years ago. We haven't done it, and I don't recall the last time it was done since I've been in the command staff.
Well, the only reason why I ask you that is I know people, they have it done. Ductwork, one person didn't have it done in a long, long time, and they told me their vents were hardly dirty at all, and they got central air, and they also have forced air.
I'd be more than glad to share with you some photos of what it looks like inside the vents. If there's a concern that you don't think that this needs to be done, I have a variety of photos on my phone that I could share with you to show the buildup of debris that's inside the vents right now. The concern is that as we approach the cold and flu season and we start to turn on the heat in the building, it's going to circulate, and our concern is that we're going to create more of a problem with the health and safety of our staff that's in the building. And that's why it's a need to get this done sooner rather than later.
It's not that I don't want to have it done, don't get me wrong. I think $37,000, $38,000 is a lot of money.
Counselor, it is a lot of money. I agree with you, but it's something that is needed for our building. It's something that has been long overdue, that hasn't been done in a number of years. And for the safety and welfare of our staff and the clean air circulation throughout our building, it's certainly needed to be done for our building.
And Councillor, also just remember, we are talking about a much larger building than a typical residential home.
This was a
And-
two-family.
You're right, even a two-family. It's much larger than a two-family. And the older the ductwork is, the more likely it is that it's going to be harder to maintain, whereas the newer it is, the easier the maintenance is.
Can I ask you a question? Since you get forced hot air and you got you got air conditioning, who changes the filters?
Our maintenance staff is able to change the filters because it's readily accessible, but this type of work is technical work.
Yes, I understand
Which is
that.
far beyond the ability of our maintenance staff to perform. It involves getting into these vents with equipment that the city doesn't have, the police department certainly doesn't have this equipment that's going to suck out the debris that's in the vents. It's technical work that needs to be performed by people that do this every day.
All right, I yield the floor, go ahead.
Go ahead, Councillor Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Most of my questions were answered. Just a comment. My family owned a heating and air conditioning company for many years, and one thing that I learned, going out cleaning some of those boilers with my dad is that if you don't clean it and maintain these things, you're going to need a new system in a number of years. It's the way you maintain the length and the life of a system. So I'm encouraged to see that this work is being done. I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Walsh.
I just have one question, Captain. Do you, if you know, what's the age of that building?
The building was built in 1986. We did replace the units on the roof about 5-6 years ago, so the units are new, but we never did a full cleaning of the ductwork that's in the building. And I've been at the police department since 1996. I can only recall one time, to the best of my knowledge, that a company was in there performing this work after hours. And I remember I was working 11 to 7, so that was at least 15 years ago.
I think it's probably about time to take a look at it again. So thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to accept?
Second.
I have a motion and second to recommend 17224 for acceptance. If there is no objection,
No, none.
it is unanimously approved. 17324, in order that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of grant funds in the approximate amount of $18,963.57 received from Fitchburg State University and originating from Mass Development to fulfill TDI in-town commitments made to fund programming, marketing, and needed repairs at Mill Street.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak on this tonight. This is fairly straightforward. At the end of the fiscal year, the university stopped. They did have a role to play in our TDI district, and that included having a downtown coordinator and a program manager. As of June 30th, they stopped supporting that and acting as the fiscal agent for TDI. It took them a couple of months to close out their books, and this dollar amount, this $18,963, is what was left in the account, aside from the $25,000 that's set aside for a DMO, which was in a previous finance committee meeting, I think the last one. So this represents just that balance. It needs to be spent on activities related to the TDI district. There is one commitment that was made by our downtown coordinator to sponsor the Latino Festival, which happened last Saturday. So that is $1,000 will come out of this for that. We would like to make some repairs to Mill Street using this money. But other than that, there isn't a specific list of activities that we intend to use it for. It would be when we identify opportunities to invest this. We'd like to do permanent improvements with this money and not, if we can, so that the money actually sort of lasts downtown. So to the degree that we can target the money for those sorts of things, we'll certainly do that.
All right. Councillor Brochman.
Question. So we're down to, you say 18,000, round it off for the sake of brains.
Yeah.
All right, $18,000. Why can't we, because I drive up Main Street, and you're talking about Mill Street, but when I drive up Main Street, I noticed a bunch of people during the summertime hanging around on the wall, on the granite stone wall at the garage. Why can't we use some of this money and have the DPW put up a fence on there? Not a big fence, not a 6 foot, but a fence where it makes it difficult for them to sit on the wall. So this way, you're helping the merchants, you're moving people along, and people are not afraid, according to the reports that we received from Mary Jo Bohart.
We could use the funds for that, although I don't know that we've identified that is a need that needs to be addressed. I'm hearing that from you, but I don't know that having a few folks sitting on a wall momentarily outside the parking garage has been problematic, so that is something that we can explore further. I wouldn't say no to that.
How can you actually say that to me when everybody knows and the biggest gripe of downtown Fitchburg is people hanging around? Right down here.
I would say we do have some folks that maybe don't have a place to go during the day and loiter, but we also have folks that are shopping that might want to sit down as well, that we have to accommodate everybody.
So
We should have seating downtown. We should have seating downtown. Now, maybe a fence is not the best seating. Maybe a wall or a fence could be, it would be used less if we actually had benches.
But the people, I think you're taking a problem here and you're shoving it up here and saying everything's fine and dandy when everything's not fine and dandy downtown. The problem that I see, and I drive downtown quite a bit, I come that way when I come home. It isn't the people that's shopping that I'm worried about, because they're not sitting on that wall. The people that are sitting on the wall are the ones that are not shopping. That's my problem. And then we have a problem with the fact of the matter, according to the report. If you don't want me to read the reports, I won't read them, but according to the reports, that's the biggest hang-up that the downtown area has, that people hang around. And then you're telling me that you're worried about a couple people that put a bench up. We were supposed to put benches up, but then we're going to have a problem with benches because now you're going to have everybody sitting there for long periods of time. I mean, we can't have it both ways. And I know you're going to try to stop me, but it's right here. And I'm making a suggestion.
That's fine, Councillor. The only thing I'm going to say is that the issue in front of us this evening is not on how this money is to be spent, but simply whether we're going to accept it from
It is
FSU.
how it's spent. If you read your report, it says it right in the report.
It says to fulfill TDI in-town commitments made
Right.
to fund programming, marketing, and needed repairs.
Right.
So if there are no pre-existing commitments, then any future expenditures out of this money would come to us for approval.
No, I don't
I
think
would.
so.
I would
You're
think.
accepting the funds, then we would be allowed to use the funds.
Right, so
Within
for
these
TDI
parameters.
in-town commitments.
Correct.
Right. So the issue of what we do about loitering is an important one. You know, I've read the same stuff that you have. I've talked to the same, well, not maybe the same exact people that you have, but I've heard the same things. But that's not really Director Murphy's job. That's something that we need to discuss with the police department, with, you know, other departments. It's not something that can be solved by by a community development organization. It's just not the same wheelhouse. It's a policy discussion that I think we should have, but not necessarily in the context of this particular $19,000.
Well, Mr. President, I hate to disagree with you so heartily. I mean, we're good friends and that, but I'm going to give you a prime example. Right next to the marijuana there, the restaurant around that corner, Pritchard Street and that, people were hanging around down there. Bunch of people, and that was a big complaint.
Right.
And they came from Pritchard Plaza. And once they put the fence up, it eliminated the problem. So when they moved from there to over here. So it is her issue, and it's the economic development issue, and that should be addressed, and we got $18,000 to address it. And it doesn't, and won't cost us $18,000 to address a problem. She's talking about repairs, and you get businesses on Mill Street, and you want businesses to come downtown. If you got me hanging around with no T-shirt on and walking around and smoking a cigarette and yelling and screaming, you're not going to want to come downtown. As simple as that. You're not going to want to do it. And then you're going to say, we got to do better. Well, we got to do better. And we got a chance to do better. We get $19,000. And it's not going to cost all of $19,000 to put a little fence up there. And I'm not talking about boxing in, a little fence to make it difficult for them to sit. And then you get people moving, and you have people more pride in the city, too, at the same time. I understand that an elderly person wants to sit down. Okay, we put some chairs out there. But then you're going to run into the same problem because somebody's going to say, you took them out of the parks. What's the reason why you took them out of the parks, Liz? Tell me. Because?
We have benches in the parks.
Huh?
We have benches in our parks.
Huh?
We have benches in our parks.
We do?
Yes.
I thought we
Yes.
took them out of Monument Square.
We took some out.
We took some out.
Some of them have been replaced.
Oh, they've been replaced.
Riverfront Park has benches. Other parks have benches. But if I may, I think this is a worthy topic that deserves its own conversation, and perhaps not in the context of this $18,000, which is not going to solve that bigger issue of public seating and loitering. It may be it could solve a potential part of it, but there's a bigger conversation about public seating and or loitering that probably deserves its own separate conversation.
Well, I don't know. There's never a time. We always look and we always make excuses and we always say, you can't talk about this now. Let's put it on the back burner. We'll talk about it down the road. My thing is, we have $19,000 or $18,000, and if you use half of that to put a little fence up there, then you're serving the purpose now. You're solving a problem because you're the one that's telling me, when you come in front of here, that we got to improve downtown and we want to hire somebody to come down here and make rules and regulations and get this city going. You can start the ball rolling already. You already got money.
If I may, Councillor.
Go ahead, sir.
Given what you pointed out about Pritchard Street and whatnot, it stands to reason that if we do this piecemeal, if we just say, okay, the problem is in this spot right now, so let's put up a fence, it's just going to move somewhere else unless we first have that larger conversation about how do we solve this problem for all of downtown, rather than how do we solve this problem that is currently located in this one specific location. Because I don't think it would necessarily help the businesses if it moves from here to here and continues occurring.
Well, I understand what you're saying, Mr. President, and I agree wholeheartedly. But we have to start somewhere. They started already on a corner right over here, and they put up the little fence and they moved them. The next thing would be the parking garage, put them there. If you put it there, they'll move. So where do they move to? Then we'll tackle that area. But you got to start somewhere, and we can't keep on passing the buck down the road. And that's what we seem to do. We pass it down the road. And we say, yeah, we got a problem here. We'll address the problem. And it takes years to address it. Years. We have $19,000, which is costing the city nothing. And it says in your report, Mill Street area, and that affects the Mill Street area. Right here is the Mill Street, and it affects it. And we can solve a problem by helping out the guy with the restaurant and anybody else there in that area, and even around the area. So on that, if she's going to tell me that we're going to take this money and put it aside, just to have entertainment, then I'm not going to support it. If you tell me you look at the possibility and you invest some money on that wall so we can't sit down, then I'll say yes. Because we have to address the problem. We have a problem. The report says we have a problem. People tell you all the time there's a problem. And all we do is talk. No, we got something to talk about. We got money.
All right.
And it's not coming out of the general fund. It's a grant for that purpose.
Okay.
All right? Don't get me going.
Hey, I didn't cut you off. I didn't cut you off.
Thank you.
I think you're going already.
Councilor Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I think Director Murphy articulated it already very well of kind of where I was going to go. We're not going to, poverty is not an issue that Fitchburg has to deal with in a bubble. It's statewide, it's across the country, and we're not going to solve it with this $19,000 or a fence. And for the record, the fence is still a possibility that could be discussed at future meetings with the business group. They could prefer the fence. You could put in the fence. They could not put in the fence. The only thing we're determining here is, are we going to accept this $18,963.57 through mass development and TDI commitments or not? I'm certainly not going to turn it down because I would like a fence here or a fence there. Poverty is a multifaceted, complex issue that everybody across the country is facing. But we're not going to solve it with a fence. But if a fence is the best option, determined by community development as well as the business owners in that area, then I have no problem with it. But I'm not going to hold up the $19,000 of grant funding because of it. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Thank you. Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have one question. It says this is to fulfill TDI in-town commitments. Do we know specifically what those commitments?
So the commitments that were made were the $1,000 for the Latino Festival.
Yep.
And then we did commit to making improvements in Mill Street to fix the murals, that some of the frames are falling apart.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that we fix that.
Okay.
The rest, anything above and beyond that is not committed to a specific thing. It's just that the funding has to be used for what mass development intended to use it for, which is to further the TDI district,
Okay.
which is downtown.
So when we accept this grant, it's specifically for a stated purpose, and if you don't use it for that stated purpose, then you have to give that grant money back.
Correct, to mass development, yes.
Okay.
If we do not, we cannot just put it in the general fund and then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Along those lines, actually, because there has been a little bit of confusion around this, including on my part, apparently, it sounds like perhaps what this order was meant to read was something like to fulfill TDI in-town commitments and to fund programming, marketing, and needed repairs at Mill Street, because if we are approving only to fulfill the commitments that have already been made, and you said those just include the festival and the murals, then we're not actually approving the use of any remaining funds for other purposes. So would it be your thought that we should amend this order to?
Yes, I would agree with
Facilitate
that.
that?
Understanding now how you interpreted that, yes, I would agree.
So moved.
Moving
Second.
that.
All right, so this is an amendment to insert after the word made a comma and the word and. Is there any objection to this amendment? All right, seeing none, it is amended. The amended order is before the committee.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve. Do I have an objection? All right, it is unanimously approved. That concludes our business for the evening.
I thought you were just still talking about the amendment.
Oh, so you do have an objection
No,
to
I
the...
got one thing to say.
Oh, on the motion. Go
On the
ahead,
motion.
Counselor.
I just want to make one thing say. I never talked about poverty. I want to make it clear. Somebody's interpreting this thing wrong. What I'm talking about is what I said. It doesn't make, you don't have to, if I'm hanging around, I'm hanging around. If I'm sitting on a wall, I'm sitting on a wall. If I'm not spending money and I'm hanging around, I'm hanging around.
So you're talking about loitering irrespective of income level.
That's right. And I never once pointed out that I walk around with no T-shirt on or no shirt, even though I'm good looking. Yeah. You know,
Tomorrow's headline, shirtless counselor drives people away from downtown businesses.
so, but you know, you understand what I'm saying. I never once said poor, and I want to rectify that problem. I'm saying to you, we have a problem downtown. We're hanging around, and it's not good. And it's not good according to the reports that you read and I read and all these counselors. Mm-hmm. And we have to address this problem, and that's why I say what I say. And I'm going to watch these funds, and I think you should take it because that will improve Mill Street. That's what you want. It will improve Mill Street because if you got a bunch of people hanging around right there, and the guy in the restaurant can't sell his food because they're afraid to go by, and the guy down below can't sell his product because they're afraid to go by. So, and nobody wants to go by. And I've seen it with my own two eyes. I'm not making it up. Every day when I drove up Main Street this summer with their shirts off.
Point made, Counselor.
Very good point, huh? All right.
Counselor Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just for clarification, I in no way intended to imply that the gentleman from Ward 2 made a derogatory or negative comments about anyone living in poverty. It's just, that was my framing of the argument. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Thank you. All set. Do I have any objections to approving this item? All right, it is unanimous, and that concludes our business for the evening.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and second to adjourn. There being no objection, we are adjourned.